I'm Charlotte Williams. I'm the founder of 76 Agency and the co-host of the Sustainably Influenced podcast. National Women's Podcast Festival is really important because, first of all, it's a great opportunity to network, to meet other people in the podcast space, be that if you're just starting out and you want to learn how to create a podcast, or be that if you have a podcast and want to make more podcast friends. I don't really have any podcaster friends apart from my co-host. It's really nice to have that opportunity. And the podcasting space, much like most spaces, it's quite male dominated. So to have women all in one place to talk about what they love the most about the industry and to give each other tips and advice, what more could you ask for?
I'm Anna Vakili.
I'm Mandy Vakili, and our podcast is called Sisters in the City. I feel like just being yourself is the most important thing, being real and authentic, and me and Anna being two Middle Eastern women in our 30s, and we're not married with kids. It's already like controversial that we talk about like partying and relationships and boys and sex. Sex and everything. I think that's what makes us stand out as well. So I think the Women's Podcast Festival is important because it's championing women in a male-dominated world, and it's so nice to see female podcasters come together and just express themselves in their own safe space
and just celebrate
being women and being ourselves.
And also you get to know other women and their
podcasts and just learn so much from each other.
Hi, my name is Natalie Liu, and I'm host of the Baggage Reclaim Sessions podcast, of which I've just had my very first live show of it here at the International Women's Podcast Festival. For podcasters starting out, I think that you have to really avoid the perfectionism. When you are doing a podcast, you're going to figure out your voice and what you really want to do with the podcast as you go along. And so there has to be that room for experimentation and for the curiosity of that. I really enjoy the Women's Podcast Festival because it is great to connect with so many other women who are really passionate about podcasting and who want to explore it and sort of passing ideas around, but also getting inspiration on the practical and strategic side of podcasting, which I admittedly don't get enough of that normally, but it's women driven as well, and I think that that's what's great about it.
My name is Blair Amani. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a Black bisexual Muslim woman. I am an educator, the creator of Smarter in Seconds, and I'm here at the International Women's Podcast Festival because podcasting is such a man's game. Patriarchy loves to infiltrate different industries, and it's time for everybody to have a chance to share their voice and to share their experiences, and supporting any endeavor that makes sure that that's happening is something that I'm proud to be a part of. The International Women's Podcast Festival is important because women are important, because podcasting cannot just remain this patriarchal enclave that everybody has to have a voice. It doesn't mean that we're getting rid of men. It means that we're making sure that across gender that people have an equal chance to speak up, to be heard, and to be funded.
My name is Leanne Ali. I am a podcast producer, presenter and commissioner at BBC Sounds. So I am here delivering the keynote session, and I'm also here to connect with some really great podcasters. I think that the International Women's Podcast Festival is so important because there isn't anything out here like this in the rest of the UK. There isn't a space where women can come and connect, and all the sessions are led by women, led by our voices, and it's just a really nice vibe, really nice community, and a really great space to connect and kind of see ideas come to life.
Hi, I'm Bianca Foley. I'm a podcaster, sustainability consultant and content creator. The International Women's Podcast Festival is so important because it's so wonderful, and it's important to see so many women come together in a podcasting space, because the audio space is very heavily male dominated, as with content creation and across a lot of different spaces. We're seeing women growing and taking the forefront, and I think this festival just showcases how important we really are.
Hi, my name's Salma El-Wadani and I'm the author of These Impossible Things. I'm a writer, a poet, a radio presenter and a global speaker. I'm at the International Women's Podcast Festival today with the Masala podcast, which is a podcast celebrating South Asian women and South Asian culture. I think the podcast festival is so important because we spend a lot of time online, listening, consuming content, talking to one another online, and that's incredible. But I always say, what is the point in creating these communities online if we can't then meet in real life and hug each other and talk to each other in real life and have a drink with each other? And I think it's so important for women to have spaces where they can come together and we go away from these events feeling a little bit taller and lifted a little bit higher and a bit more resilient than when we walked in the door, as if our batteries have all been recharged by one another.
I am Africa Brooke. I am a consultant, coach, and a speaker, and I've been here at the Content is Queen Festival doing my live show of the podcast Beyond the Self. Do I have any tips for new podcasters? Be very clear on what your mission actually is, because understanding your why is going to help you stay consistent. Consistency is one of the key things when it comes to podcasting, especially if you plan to do it weekly or even bi-weekly. So just be very clear on what your mission actually is. Why is the International Women's Podcast Festival very important? It's very important because it allows different minds to come together. It allows for true diversity to be platformed, and especially for women, we need spaces like this because podcasting is still a very male-dominated space.
Thank you all so much, and thank you both. You've been fantastic.